you mentioned to me that you're noticing that in your marketplace, things are shifting a little bit, inventory sitting on the market for longer. And as such, it's time to revisit price reduction conversation. Is that right?
Well, it's not only in my market. I'm hearing it all across the country.
Yeah. I'm hearing the same thing. So, okay. And tell me because I know me and you had like a very interesting interaction at the beginning of your career when we were role playing price reductions one day, and I said something to you that was like, you were like, huh?
Well, what I think was happening to me is when a property wasn't selling, I was like kind of like be like, oh, like is there something else I can do in terms of marketing, or like I didn't realize that price basically fixes everything. So so what I'm noticing is I'm having conversations with other agents, and I'm noticing that it's creating like a similar type of like anxiety, or a similar type of almost like not wanting to talk to the seller, or not knowing what to say. But what I realized in saying so, because I went around the office and I was asking this agent, I'm like, okay, well, if a seller says this to you, what do you say? And what I noticed was a lot of fumbling.
Yeah.
So I noticed that like it's more of a lack of practice, and a lack of like, okay, like you haven't had to use this skill for a really long time.
Yep.
And people are saying the very same things to you, so they're saying like, okay, well, I don't want to reduce to X because people will come in lower than that. They're saying, well, can we just keep it on the market for a little bit longer, just to kind of see what would happen. They're saying, well, what if I just rent it out for 6 months and then basically revisit this conversation in about another 6 months, Yep. So there's a lot of different things that are very repeatable, meaning like the sellers are saying the same thing. And I even noticed that for myself, like I was a little bit rusty. Like I had a seller one time tell me like, okay, why is it that the only advice that you're giving me is that I need to reduce my price? And I was like, blah, 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 and then I went back to this document, and I'm like, oh man, that's a much better way of answering it,
Yeah.
So what I'm doing is I'm doing a presentation on price reduction in the next 30 days.
Sure.
So I think it's the perfect timing for me to get razor sharp on it as well. And also to go back to the basics, which the basics is, okay, they're going to say the same exact thing. So why not have the responses? And even for somebody at my level, go back and practice some of the responses and role play them with your role play partners as well too. That way, when you're in a real life situation and somebody says to you, well, Jose, why is the only advice that you're giving me to reduce the price? You're not like,
Yeah, and I think you hit on two things there that I think it's important to really impress upon everybody who's watching this live or who will go back and watch it later. Is there's two kind of fundamental beliefs that are happening. One is this underlying belief that you had previously, which was a false misperception, that there was something else that you could be doing. Right. I remember specifically having this conversation with Heath, where one of the first listings he took, and the sellers are coming at him saying like, hey, is there anything else we could do? And he called me. He's like, is there anything else we could do? I'm like, oh, this is interesting, because he has the false misperception that there is something else. So that's the first. I think the second one is that somehow it's a reflection of you as an agent. And I know you very well. I've gotten to know you over time, and you very much so want to do a great job. You very much so. It's important to you that people know you have character and like integrity, and you'll look out for the best interests. So when people hire you, you feel a sense of responsibility, right?
Yeah.
And in the past, that false misperception, right, that inaccurate assessment of reality, that if it wasn't selling, it was a reflection of you, that you were bad as an agent, was actually hindering your ability to be able to help them to self-discover, when in fact it had nothing to do with you. It's really
yeah.
So I think those two critical kind of underlying beliefs, because remember, we've talked about before, where like if there's results, right, and then there's behaviors, what's behind the behaviors are beliefs. And oftentimes, I'm sure many of you are listening, or if you're like me, you try to change your behavior, but then it doesn't stick. Well, the reason is I didn't address the beliefs underneath it. So those two beliefs, there's something else I could be doing, some other form of marketing or ads or whatever, which is not an accurate assessment of reality. And the second is that if it doesn't sell for some reason, it's a reflection of you, like you're doing something wrong or bad. Those two, I think, hinder people's ability to have an effective and efficient conversation. And in fact, what's true is people are looking to be led. Our job is to lead them. But one of our most important jobs as leaders is meetings. And the conversation around price is a meeting. It's what it is, right? We're having a meeting about, hey, we've been on the market for X amount of time, and I've done all of the, I've done a lot of research and talked to, my contemporaries and other agents that have shown the property, or, gotten feedback from people in the office, and I'm prepared to give you the guidance and advice in order to ensure that you're under contract in the next 30 to 45 days, because I know that's your goal and objective. Fair enough. And they're like, yeah. So somebody has to be in charge of the meeting, right? So leading it, right? And then having a track that you can follow, because at the beginning, when we first started role-playing price reductions, to your point, that conversation for you, A, it was very uncomfortable because of the beliefs, but then B, you didn't have a track to follow. There was no like step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5, right? So having a track, and I remember I shared with you, like the first part of that track is to state the purpose. The purpose of today's call is to ensure that we have your home under contract in the next 30 to 45 days, right? Done a lot of research, homework, got a lot of feedback from people that have seen the property, other agents that have shown it, and I'm prepared to give you the advice to make that happen. Fair enough? Yep. The second step is tell them what's happened. We've been on the market now for, 30 days or 29 days. And in that time frame, we've had 10 showings. Did you know that? And they'd be like, yeah, your assistant's been letting me know, and And you've been sending me, the comments from people that have taken a look and that sort of thing. Yeah. So what that means then is what we're doing is working. We're driving traffic into the property. At the same time, having that level of showings and no offers, it's actually beginning to concern me. May I tell you why? And they're like, well, the marketplace is showing us they're seeing enough value to look. They're just not seeing enough value to buy. This leads us to the next step, revisit motivation. You were kind enough to share with me that the main reason that you wanted to get this home sold is you were looking to move to Texas and you wanted to make that happen in this time frame. Has that changed, or is that still the same? And then quiet. They're like, nope, that's still the same. Okay. So with that being said, now it's the next step. Tell them what they need to do. The marketplace, who's telling them? Not me. Because oftentimes people get into those fights, right? I think you need to be here. I study homes and prices. This is where you need to be. And that's authoritative, and it's going to create friction. Instead, the marketplace is clearly showing us with this amount of showings and no offers that, an adjustment is in order in terms of the price. The question is just simply how much. Now, if we were getting X amount of showings and no offers, that means we won't be missing by too much. But being that we're getting about, maybe like 2 showings a week, the marketplace is showing us we're missing, by around. And then I remember I shared with you percentages and how that was a big breakthrough for you, instead of like dollar amounts, percentages, right? Now, marketplace is showing us with this amount of showings and no offers, we're missing by about, 7%. And that would take us from X to Y. And then the next step is to close. Do I have your permission to go ahead and put that in so we get this home sold for you? Now I'm quiet because I followed that process and procedure, which, by the way, only takes about 2 or 3 minutes. Where what I see most agents do, they will verbally vomit for like 10 minutes, just circling around, right? When the seller knows what you want and they know what you're going to ask. So instead, we just get, do I have your permission, right? We close after we follow that track. And the way I describe this, I know you played baseball baseball in high school. I know you attempt to play basketball.
Bro.
I'm just, so anyway, so when you're playing baseball, imagine like you're standing at the plate, and instead of like looking at the pitcher and being ready for the pitch, you're staring in the stands. You're not ready for the pitch when it comes down the pipe. Versus now if I'm ready and I'm looking at the pitcher, I'm in a much better position to hit the ball, right? And the same is true here, because when you take a long time, when you're circling around and you're not following a track, they start to object. They start to throw pitches at you. They're like, oh, can't you put it in this? And can't you do this? And can't you put it in the Wall Street Journal? And how come you're not doing this, right? And then you're like, and you haven't even told them what the marketplace is telling them that they need to do yet. So if you follow this track, takes about 2 or 3 minutes, then I'm standing here waiting. Then they're like, well, can't we come down a little bit? all the objections start to happen, all the fastballs, right? Can we come down a little bit lower than that? Can we wait? Can you do more marketing? Can you do more open, right? That sort of thing. And now I can handle those one at a time. And that's a much better position to be in.
Yeah, I agree. So let's get into some of the objections, bro, because I know that for the viewers that don't know this, Aaron actually grew his business in a time where prices were coming down, not a little bit, but by a lot.
Yeah.
And meaning like it was like a market that was going like this. So like in certain cases, he was having to go back to them with 2, 3, 4 price reductions at a time. And if they didn't make a sizable adjustment, they were finding themselves chasing the marketplace down, basically. And what I'm also imagining is that a lot of the times this information was not stuff that they wanted to hear as well, too. You know, it wasn't stuff that they were like, oh my God, yeah, why didn't I think about that? You know, like why that's such a great idea. Why didn't I just think about reducing the price, you know? So let me ask you this. So when people say to you okay, or would say to you, why don't we just keep it on the, is there can we keep it on the market for a little bit longer?
Yeah. So initially the pattern, because remember, price is just one big objection. We present with emotion, we handle objections with logic. So price is just one big objection. So there's a pattern for handling objections. The first, what I would propose or suggest is I acknowledge what they said, that's different than agreeing. So I say to you, can't we just wait a little bit longer? Of course we can, Jose. I mean, you're the boss. My job is to help you. It's never to talk you into doing anything, right? So that's the first initial response. Right? Is I'm going to acknowledge what they said. I heard you. I don't necessarily agree with you, but I've acknowledged what you said. Of course we can. You're the boss. My job is to help you. It's never to talk you into doing anything. By the way, when I say that you're the boss, what is Jose going to do? Pick his little belt buckle up and be like, you're right. I am the boss. Which, by the way, is it their decision and are they the actual boss? Yes. Yeah. So I'm letting him know, look, dude, of course it is. And I'm not attached to the outcome. So he doesn't feel combative with me, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like, yeah, of course we can. You're the boss. My job is to help you. It's never talking to do anything. Can I share with you what would concern me for you and your family and how much you end up getting for the property if you chose that approach? Now, if I say to you, can I share with you what concerns me? You don't care what concerns me at all. But if I say, can I share with you what would concern me for you, Mariela, and the kids if you chose that approach? Now Jose's listening. That's a proper frame for him to pay attention. He's like, what? This has to do with me and my family? And now we get into the handler. So this is really what's happening here as we're speaking, Jose. What's coming up for me is what I've been doing, and I didn't have the words to explain what I was doing, but now that I've read the book, Amplify Your Influence, he gives you language to explain what's happening. First, I give you a frame with which to view what I'm about to say to you, which was, can I share with you what would concern me for you and your family if you chose that approach? You, Mariela, and the kids, and ultimately how much you end up getting if you chose that approach. That's the frame. Now I'm going to give you the message, right? And then I give you the influence objective, which is what, we want to happen. So, I know you were, and this is where it's important that you've pre-qualified fully and I know all the dynamics, right? So I know you were kind enough to share with me, Jose, that the main reason that you wanted to sell this home is you wanted to move to, blank, and you also wanted to make that happen within this time frame. Now tell me this, what would happen on the outside chance if we were still sitting here 30 to 45 days from now and the home wasn't sold? What would that mean for you and Mariela and the kids? And then be quiet. And he's going to tell you, wow, that would not be good. Okay, and tell me a little bit more about that. Why wouldn't it be good? Well, I'd have to move without her and I don't want to do that. We'd separate the family. I don't want to be away from the kids. Okay, so it sounds like that's not a serious consideration at all. We want to avoid that at all costs. Is that right? Yep. And refresh my memory. It's not an option for you to not sell and still move, correct?
No.
And we need the money from the sale in order to make this next move happen, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So being that that's the case, the mark, we have two pieces of data that we can go from, Jose. One is our direct experience, right? We've had 11 showings. We haven't had an offer on the table yet. And that's a key indication, as we discussed, the marketplace is showing us they see enough value clearly to look. not enough to buy yet. We also have data from the market, which is your neighbors. They've done us a really big favor. Do you know what it is?
No.
They've tested the market for us at prices, and it's not working. There's your neighbor who's actually asking pretty close to us right now. They've been on the market for 90 days and they still haven't sold yet. What do you think the buying public is telling them about their price and product?
I don't know, to be honest.
Well, my professional experience is if the price and product match, what do you think would happen?
They'd probably be sold.
Yeah, they get an offer on the table. That's exactly right. And then we also have one that went under contract while we were on the market for sale. It's actually 3 streets over. We sent it to you in preparation for this conversation. Did you have an opportunity to take a look at that?
No.
Okay, well, that one, again, it's off Plum Street. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,800 square feet, has a pool like you do. Kitchens have been upgraded. So I think we could agree for all intents and purposes, it's pretty similar, yes?
Correct.
They went under contract. They were only on the market for 25 days. Do you know how much they were asking, Jose?
How much?
$650.
Wow.
Yeah, so we have a key indication from the market from where they see value. So we have a couple options that are at our disposal. Whatever you decide, I'll support you 100%. Mm-hmm. The first option is we leave the price the same and we wait. We cross our fingers. We pray to the real estate gods that we get an offer that's acceptable. And in doing so, I just need you to know and understand, Jose, there is a distinct possibility and probability we jeopardize the time frame that you make this move happen. The second option is we make an adjustment in terms of the price, right? And we go to where buyers and sellers have been agreeing, right? Close to that 650 number. And in doing so, we dramatically increase the probability that we can get you an offer in the time frame that you want, and we can get you moved out to your next destination without having to separate the family and be away from the kids. So either one of those are okay, based on what you're looking to accomplish and why, based on the time frame you'd like to make this happen in light of what is most important to you, what do you think we should do? So I see you taking notes, Jose, and what I love about you is you're a perpetual student. So like, what are you writing down? What are you noticing for those who might hear me but not notice what's going on?
It's just different ideas. Like what I wrote down, if price and product match, what do you think would happen to the property? You asked the question like that. So like I said, I don't know. And instead of you saying, well, it's got to be the price, you basically said, well, you asked an additional question. You said, well, let me ask you this. Like if buyers are seeing value with that price and what that property has to offer, what do you think would happen? So you asked the same question in a different way, basically. To get them to be like, well,
and a non-combative way, it's not going to elicit where you feel like you're fighting against me, or I feel like I'm trying to make you sound stupid and me smart. It's more like, well, let's think about this together.
Yeah. But it was the same exact question, just asked differently to get the same. And I think that's what happens a lot of times, that when you don't get the answer that you're looking for, if you only have one way of asking it, then basically it gives you it's so funny. What was I doing? Oh, it was so funny. I was at a family party and I asked the guy, I said, do you have any regrets in your life? And I know that he does, but his initial answer was no.
Hey, and you have to hide on your face being like, come on, bro. I know you do. You know what I mean?
No, but I started asking him different questions in the same way. Yeah. Where we got to the root of it, and the root of it was that he missed out on a lot of opportunities because he was scared, basically.
Yeah.
Which essentially was a regret, basically. And then he started like going into different things. But it was funny because I asked him that question and I didn't get the response, but then I asked it in a different way and I got the same.
And you've seen me deploy a technique that I learned from Tony Robbins. Like when I'm in a coaching environment or in front of a bunch of people, I'm like, all right, well, I'll ask them a direct question. And they're like, I don't know. I'm like, well, if you did know, what would it be? And bam, it comes out. You know what I'm saying? So it's having that skill. I think the other thing that's coming up for me as we're doing this, Jose, my fundamental belief, and it's one of the beliefs that I downloaded to you, was that my job is to politely confront them. Because if I don't, they won't get what they want in the time that they want.
Yeah.
And until you believe that that's your job, these conversations will be very difficult for you. They'll cause a lot of internal consternation, a lot of anxiety. You know what I mean?
Let me ask you this. Let's say that you know that somebody there's a seller in particular, and I know he needs to sell. Like, and he'll say things like, I'm just going to rent it out. Like, and then he'll call back and be like, no, I decided not to rent it out, blah, blah, blah. But I'm not going below this price. How would you that somebody has motivation, but when you ask the question, what would happen on the outside chance if this property is not sold in 45 days? And they're like, well, I would be okay with that. I'm not really in a financial necessity.
Yeah. So then I would
need to sell the property.
Great question. And it's funny because Daniel in our organization called me today and asked me the same question. He went on a listing appointment. He noticed there was like this kind of lack of clarity was popping up. Like you're saying one thing, but like your behavior's kind of doing another. But the tools, he didn't know how to like address it. Yeah. And I told him, like, dude, me and Jose worked on this together for like probably at least a solid year through gremlin taming, which was like to heighten your level of awareness. So that way you could notice it. And when you do, you have tools like, hey, I'm noticing, I'm imagining, I'm aware, right? Where you could like just bring it up and address it in the moment. And what I told him is the ability to be able to do this is the difference between taking like 30 listings a year and taking 80.
Yeah.
So what I would do in that instance, I'd be like, great, because I want to be clear. My job's to help you. It's never to twist your arm or talk you into do anything. And truthfully, Jose, having spent some time with you, nobody's going to be able to twist your arm or get you to do anything. Now, why am I doing that? Again, look at the pattern. I'm acknowledging what you're saying. I'm not agreeing with you. And then it's like, he's like, yeah, dude, like, that archetype, they're like, nobody's going to tell me what to do. So I'm like, yeah. And truthfully, having spent some time with you, I mean, nobody's going to be able to twist your arm to get you to do something, right? So, I'm here to help you. I'm never here to, kind of talk you into doing anything. So if it's okay with you, what I'd like to do is ask you just a couple quick questions with the goal and objective of me getting just clarity around the driving forces behind, getting this home sold. And then we can discuss options and choices that you have. And again, whatever you decide is perfectly fine. And I'm also like super unattached to the outcome, right? So acknowledge, not agree. I'm addressing his stubbornness in a playful way. Hey, haven't spent some time with you, Jose. Nobody's going to talk you into do anything. I wouldn't expect you to do anything that didn't make sense for you and wasn't in your best interest. So whatever you decide is okay, whether you decide to do it now or you decide to do it 10 years from now. What I'd like to do is just kind of ask you a couple quick questions for me to get clarity around the driving forces behind this move and what it is you actually want to accomplish and why. And then we can discuss options and choices. And again, whatever you decide is perfectly okay. Fair enough?
Fair enough.
Particularly with that persona, because when that persona starts to do that, if you push even slightly, it's done. They're going to dig in, they're going to fight you, and it's not going to go anywhere.
Not only that, but that's such a good transition line. And I want to point that out. Like, so with that persona is like almost, and I had that type of personality. I
know you do.
I had that type of personality where if somebody pushes, I'll push back.
Yeah.
And, but what you said was just like, almost like, okay, well, look, here's the reality. Like, no one's going to twist your arm and you don't have to do anything that you don't want to.
Yeah.
At the same time, like what I'd like to do next is I'd like to be able to really just understand what your goals and objectives are. That way I can basically service them at a higher level. Have a couple of questions for you or something along those lines, basically. Yeah. So it's like, hey, acknowledging that no one's going to talk him into doing anything and then transitioning into being able to ask additional questions.
And that immediately disarms that archetype. It disarms that personality profile. They're like, yep, you understand me. You know hey, you know who's calling right now? Angel's calling me right now. Should I pick it up?
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Yo, me and Jose are doing a live stream, bro.
Right now?
Yeah, right now. on YouTube. Right. But I picked it up because it's you, so you're going to be on the live stream now.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
You want to talk about what we're talking about?
Well, I'll call you as soon as I'm done.
Okay, gotcha.
Appreciate you. Later. So,
you know why he called you, right?
Why?
He tried to call me first and I didn't answer.
Is that what happened?
No, I'm just kidding.
I wasn't available. He went to the second S choice. So, I'm disarming that personality, that rebellious, like you're not going to tell me what to do sort of thing. And then I'm also saying like, look, you're completely in control. I know you don't have to do anything. I'm not here to try to talk you into doing anything. What I'd like to do is ask a couple quick questions just to make sure that I'm crystal clear on what's driving you to even consider selling this home and why it's important to you. And then we can go over some options and choices that you have. Whatever you decide is perfectly fine. So when you set it up that way, again, it's frame, message, influence, objective. And by me saying whatever you decide, Now that personality profile is now comfortable. You're now receptive to what I'm going to say. Otherwise, you'd fight me the whole time. So then I would ask questions, Jose. I'd be like, well, tell me again, if you don't mind me asking, like, I know you don't have to sell this place. What would be the benefit to you personally if you did? How would your life improve in some way? And then shut up. Let them tell you, because they will. Oh,
that's such a good question, bro. What is the benefit to you
personally? How would your life improve in some way? And then be quiet. And they will tell you, they'll be like, well, you know, I want to be closer to my kids, or I'm just tired of maintaining this property, and like whatever the reasons are. And now here's the key step, Jose. You don't stop there. You keep digging. So it's like, okay, let's say we sold the home and you got that stuff. What would that do for you? Be quiet. They'll tell you again, well, you know, I'll be able to spend the time with the grandkids goes real fast, and I'll be able to spend it with them. And that's really important to me in terms of legacy, blah, 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 whatever it is. Great. And then I go one more step, Jose. And at this stage in your life, how important is that to you? And then shut up. Now, there's a method to the madness, because we are thinking beings that feel we think that we're thinking beings that feel when we're actually feeling beings that think.
Mm-hmm.
We make decisions primarily based on emotion, not logic. So I want to bring them to the emotional component. The other thing that I've seen, and you've seen this too, because I've worked with so many people, is at later stages in life, if people haven't worked through this idea that like all of this is temporary, and this is just a tent, you know what I'm saying? And this is a temporary living situation. There's a permanent living situation, but like they think like this is mine. It becomes very, very difficult for them to let go of things. And like, you're like, well, I got to like overpay you and like make it some ridiculous thing just to get you to let go of it. Right. So by going down this path, I'm helping them to reconnect with the actual reasons why and the feelings that selling would actually bring to them. And by saying, hey, how would like, and at this stage in your life, how important is that to you? They're telling me this is far more effective than trying to give them all the logical reasons why you feel like it's better for them to sell.
Yeah.
And based on what you've been kind enough to share with me, there are a couple options that you have then.
Yeah,
and this is where I would address it like aggressive. But go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I think the setup is so important, how you're setting it up, because I think most people would be like, just go right into be like, well, let me ask you this: what's the benefit of you selling?
Yeah.
Instead of like setting it up that way, like, hey, look, like, and whatever you decide on, we'll go over. Like, let's just reconnect with like what was driving this for you, and then I'll go over a couple of options, and whatever you decide, I'm perfectly fine with it.
Yeah. And even like I said, playfully being like, look, having spent some time with you, Jose, nobody's going to talk you into doing anything. I'm not interested in trying to talk you into doing anything. I'm just here to help you facilitate your original goal and objective. And if that ever changes, that's perfectly okay. I'm not here to twist your arm in any way, nor would I try to. So what I'd like to do is just ask you a couple quick questions just to make sure that we're in alignment and I'm clear on the main reasons why you were even considering selling this thing. And then from there, we can discuss the options that you have. Whatever you decide is perfectly okay. Fair enough? Yeah, that's cool. And then that's the frame with which they're going to receive the information. If I don't set that frame, Jose, they are going to fill the frame with the following. Jose's a greedy real estate agent, and all he cares about is selling my home so he can get a commission. That's what they're going to fill the frame with. 1,000,000%. And it'll be a really combative conversation. And it comes across, to your point, where it comes across like they're silly or stupid in some way and you're smart. You know what I'm saying? And we don't want to create that environment. And then what I would do is I'd be like, okay, here are the two options that you have. One is, we keep the price the same, Jose. And in doing that, I mean, I don't have to tell you, you're a really good business guy. You didn't get to where you are in life by not making good business decisions. We're going to get the same result. I mean, it'll sit here and it won't sell, and that's okay. The second option is we make an adjustment. And in doing so, we dramatically increase the probability that we can actually get you what you initially set out to get, which is proximity to your family, which is proximity to the grandkids, which is, time freedom where you don't have to maintain it. Whatever it is was the reason that they told you was the driving force behind it to begin with. And then I might say something to them like this, and only you can decide how valuable getting that is. So I know this for certain, Jose. The one thing that we spend it, that once we spend it, we never ever get it back, is time. And, you can spend your time here, trying to squeeze out some more money, and that's okay. That's your prerogative. Or you can spend your time with your grandkids. Or you could spend your time traveling, or whatever it is that they want to do. And that's only a decision that you can make. So my question to you is, based on what you're looking to accomplish and why, based on what you value most at this stage in your life, what do you think we should do? And now we've set them up perfectly where they can start to engage. Like, you watch them, they will start to, because what's happening, Jose, is there's an internal duality. What I've noticed is when people are not internally clear, it manifests externally. So we've all had sellers that are like, I want to sell, but they're not completely committed to selling. So what they do is they put it on the market at a price that'll cause it not to sell.
Yeah, they'll create. I had that happen with a lady that lost her husband or her life partner.
Yeah.
And we were going to list it at a certain price right before we come on the market. She's like, I need to increase the price. She wasn't ready to let go of the property.
She wasn't emotionally,
she was not ready.
That's right. And in that instance, I would address it politely and professionally.
How so?
I would be like, hey, we can certainly do that. It's your prerogative. My job's to help you. It's never to talk you into doing anything. What I'd like to do is ask, same way, I would like to ask you a couple of quick questions just to make sure that I'm fully clear on what you want and what you're trying to accomplish and why. And then we can go over the options that you have, and whatever you decide is perfectly okay with me. Fair enough? Because I want you to feel completely comfortable with, what we ultimately decide to do. And she'll be like, yeah. And tell me again, like, how would your life improve if you sold the property? What would be the benefit to you personally? Well, it's too difficult for me to be in the house. There's so many memories here, blah, blah, blah. I want to be closer to my kids. Okay. And let's say you sold the home and you move closer to the kids and you all of that. What would that do for you? Well, this, and this. And at this stage in your life, how important is that to you? Well, it's very important. Okay. So with that being said, we have a couple options at our disposal. One option is we go to the market where buyers and sellers have been agreeing for homes like yours that are similar to yours, what they've been selling for. And in doing so, we increase the chances that we can have it under contract in a reasonable amount of time. I'll call that 30 to 45 days. And in the next 90 to 120 days, you'll be out with your family. The second option is we can start higher, and more likely than not, with a high degree of probability, that will elongate that process. It will take longer. The other concern is one of the first things that buyers ask me when they come inside of a property is, how many days has this been on the market? Why do you think they ask me that? Well, there's a perceived value, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. So as time progresses, do you think that value goes up or do you think it goes down? It goes down. Yeah. So we actually end up seeing offers come in less and less. So what I'm aware of is it's not uncommon, because I've helped a lot of families during difficult situations like this, where because it's such a big move, because it's scary, because you're dealing with so much, from an emotional perspective, we can feel a desire to try to slow it down. So just so I'm clear, because I want you to feel comfortable, do you feel like you're emotionally ready to actually sell the home? Because I'm not here to twist your arm to do it. And then be quiet. And I'm just addressing it. And then usually when you do that, Jose, do you know what she's going to do?
Cry.
Yes.
Very often.
And when she cries, if you're with her, you're just quiet. You give her, there's a power of presence. I might even put my hand on her. You know what I'm saying? I might be like, yeah, hey, just so you know, because what people do when they cry, you know what they do? They usually view it as something of shame. They look away. Don't look at me. They try to wipe it away. And I'll tell her, hey, just so you know, it's normal and natural. It's like rain and sunshine. You get zero judgment from me. I know that this is difficult. And I know that it's challenging just to physically be inside the property still. So I guess my question to you is, time frame wise, what would make you feel most comfortable if we do this in the next 100 days or if it takes longer? And are you okay that if it takes longer, it could end up affecting how much you get? And then she'll make the decision. But she's not feeling pushed. She's not feeling like aggressive. You know what I'm saying?
Well, let me ask you this: like, what if they push back on the well, it's already been on the market for 90 days, like, does that mean I'm going to get a lower price? Does that mean that we should just kind of take a break from the marketplace now and put it back in like 6 months or a year?
Yeah, I appreciate that. And of course that is an option because you're the boss. My job's to help you. It's never to talk you into it. That's always what we're going to go to, right? I'm going to acknowledge what you said. And then I'll be like, yeah, that's an option. We can do that. There are a few considerations with that option. I'd like to share them with you so that way you're fully equipped and you can make the decision that you feel is best. Whatever you decide, I'm okay with.
Okay.
So any agent that's worth their grain of salt is, you know what they're going to be able to see if we do decide to take it off and put it back on?
What?
They'll see the history of the property in the multiple listing service. So they can see that we took it off and put it back on. Right? Now, if you were an agent and you saw that somebody took a property off the market and put it back on, what conclusion would you come to about that property?
Why did they take it off and put it back on?
That's right. You'd be like, hey, what's going on with that? Right? And what I'm aware of is if you were a buyer in the marketplace and somebody took a property off the market and then put it back on 3 months later, what would you be thinking about that property?
What's wrong with it?
That's right. And do you think that could end up affecting how much you end up offering on the home, knowing that it was on the market for 90 days previously and didn't have an offer?
Probably.
Yeah, I agree. So while I think I understand kind of the strategy behind it, I can just tell you from my own direct experience, having helped so many families, 10 to 12 per month on a regular basis, it really isn't that effective and efficient of a strategy. And it's really an attempt to try to prevent the inevitable, which is like, hey, the marketplace is showing us we probably need to make an adjustment. Now, the other concern with it is I don't have a crystal ball. I'm pretty sure you don't either. So I don't know what the marketplace is going to look like 6 months from now. Right? With everything that's happening in the world and all the change and disruption and, tariffs and things of that nature, essentially we'd be gambling. And the only reason it would make sense to wait is if we waited, we'd be able to get more money. Now, being that we just came out, that we're at the lowest amount of transaction volume since 2009. Does it seem like a realistic expectation that if we wait 90 to 180 days that we'd be able to get substantially more?
Probably not.
Yeah, I agree. Now, I'm noticing in your tone that, this is an uncomfortable conversation for you. I want you to know it's equally as uncomfortable for me. Right? I take the responsibility you provided me with very seriously, which is to protect the value of your property and get you as much as possible. And as such, I'm constantly going to be giving you, as long as you still want to do that, I'm going to be giving you direct, open, and honest information, data, and guidance that will help you to accomplish what you want in the time that you want. So just so I'm clear, has your goal and objective in selling the property changed?
No.
Is it an option for you to not sell and still make the move?
It is, but I don't want to.
Okay, and tell me a little bit about that. How come you don't want to? So whenever they tell you something, guys, dig more.
I just, I've already remade my life out here in Oregon, and I just want to, be done with it.
Okay, and let's say you were done with it. What type of relief would that provide you with? How would that make you feel?
It would actually take a lot of pressure off me, and it would, I think, improve the dynamic between.
So here's what's super cool. Even though we're role playing, did you watch him change? He got connected with it. What happened? He smiled. His breathing changed. Man, that would be a relief. I got him connected with the feeling. Yeah?
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, cool then, Jose. You have a couple options at your disposal then. One is we keep the price the same. We try to take it off, put it back on. And basically we hope and wish and pray that we'll get an offer that's acceptable. And I'm in agreement with you. I don't think that that's a high degree of probability based on market conditions. Notice, am I telling him that? He told me that. And I'm saying I'm in agreement with you. The second option is we just simply make an adjustment in the price, and that radically increases the probability we can get you an offer. The last sale in the community sold at $650,000, and it was very similar to yours. I did a net sheet here. At $650,000, you would net $350,000 from the sale. Would that allow you to make this move happen? Not is that enough, because it's never enough. He's like, would that allow you to make that happen? And Jose will probably say well, yeah, it would. It's just a little bit less than what I'd like. Yeah, I get it. And as you know, that great Rolling Stone song, you can't always get what you want, right? Like, ha, ha, ha. We all want more unless it's around our waist, right? Ha, 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 ha. You break the tension. It's like, all right, so what do you think we should do, man? And he'll probably be like, with a high degree of probability, one of two things. What do you think? And if he does, tell him what you think. Based on what you've been kind enough to share with me, based on what you value most, based on our, what we're seeing happening in the marketplace, it seems to make the most sense to just adjust the price and sell the property. Because what I'm aware of is, that difference in money. I'm very respectful of it. I don't want to belittle money at all. We all work hard for every penny. I know I sure do. I know it's not an amount of money that's going to substantially change the course of your life one way or the other. What's going to have a much bigger impact is all of the things that they told me that they want to accomplish. What's going to have a much bigger impact is you starting your new life without this noose around your neck, having relief, being able to focus and move forward, and then be quiet. And they're like, all right, Jose, let's do it. Right.
Well, Jose, Aaron, if I wait a year, do you think the marketplace will be better then?
It's a really good question. And I appreciate you asking. I do. I want you to know that I take the responsibility you provide me with very seriously, which is to protect the value of your property and to help you to get as much as possible. The real honest answer is I don't know. And I think anybody who tries to tell you that they do is not being honest with you, because, nobody has a crystal ball. At the same time, I do look at patterns. So what I'd like to do is review some of the patterns, and then we can think about this in probabilities, right? And then I find that if I make decisions based on probabilities, it usually allows me to make better choices, right? So the first pattern that I'm seeing is that the cost of money has stayed consistently high for the last 3 years. Did you know that, in terms of 30-year fixed mortgages?
Yeah, obviously everybody's been talking about rates coming down. They just have not come down.
Yeah. And for anybody who really understands the money supply and inflation, they would know that that's just really not it's an unrealistic expectation that they're going to come down in anytime soon. Did you know that the last time that rates were this high, they stayed high for a decade? Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So that's the first pattern.
When was that?
That was in the 2000s. Is the last time that rates went this high, that they stayed that high for a decade. Okay. So the second pattern that I'm seeing is that we have the third year of a tremendous drop in transaction volume in a row. So this year, 2024, was the lowest transaction volume since 2009. Did you know that?
Mm-mm.
Which makes sense, because the primary driver for people buying houses is the cost of money. And if the cost of money is really high, logically conclude that we're probably going to have less transactions as time progresses. Yes. So that's the second pattern that we're seeing. And then the third pattern that we're seeing is this affordability thing, right? Which is tied into the cost of money. But did you know that a starter home now in Oxnard is $700,000, and that's for a ranch that's 50 years old? And that the average payment with a 20% down is $6,000 a month. What do you think that does to the pool of prospective buyers?
Yeah, I don't even know how people can afford it right now.
Sometimes, honestly, Jose, even though I'm in the business, I'm thinking the same thing. So I guess with all of those patterns, if we were to ask ourselves, if you were to ask yourself, let's say somebody came to you and they said, hey, Jose, I'm not sure what I should do, if I should wait a year, or if I should just proceed now. And they laid out these patterns to you. The interest rates have remained high for 3 years in a row. The last time they were this high, they stayed that high for a decade. Sales have been at low, dropped 30% and have stayed consistent for the last 3 years in a row. And the last year was the lowest since 2009, since 20 plus years ago, or whatever, 18 plus years ago. And then we have the affordability thing, with the average cost of a home being $700 in Oxnard and the average payment being $6,000. And they asked you, should I wait? From a probability perspective, do you think that it's a realistic probability that in just 12 short months, they'd be able to get substantially more for the property?
Yeah, probably not. But I mean, Trump's saying that they're going to drop rates, like that was one of his campaign promises.
Yeah, which again, I appreciate. At the same time, what I'm also aware of is nobody has a crystal ball. And, what I've seen, having had the good fortune of having people buy and sell real estate for an extended period of time, is basing my decisions on things that I don't have control over usually doesn't serve people well. Because we usually focus on well, what if this happens? But we never think about what if it doesn't. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, whatever you decide is okay. I guess the question is based on all that information, based on what you're looking to accomplish and why, the time frame you'd like to make this happen in light of all those patterns that we're seeing, what do you think we should do?
Yeah. Let me talk it over with my wife. I think it's phenomenal. So what I'm noticing too is that a lot of the objections that they're going to get are going to be boxed into certain categories.
Yes.
It's going to be you remember how you went into most objections are, can you sell my property?
How much am I going to get?
How much am I going to get? Yeah.
And how much is this going to cost me?
I'm looking at these and I haven't figured out the categories that it's going to fall into. Yeah. But they're going to fall into what if I wait? That's a category.
That's no category.
What if I hold on longer, time? So time is probably going to be a category.
Well, time is a category. And the primary driver behind time is that the only reason it would make sense to wait is if I waited, I'd get more money.
Yeah. And basically that's the main thing, right? Under the time category, it's the only benefit of waiting would be if we can get substantially more money than doing it right now.
Yeah. And I'm getting ready to do a presentation on objections, and price is just one big objection. So I'm looking at the slide deck right now and I'm look, objections are variations of the same unanswered questions.
Yeah.
One is, can you sell my house? Here's how it manifests. What's your marketing plan? Have you sold homes in my community? I've never heard of your company. What are you going to do to sell my house? Those are all, can you sell my house? The next one is are all variations of the same thing. How much will I net? How much am I going to get? So what do you think I could get, if I wait? Could I get more? The other agent said I could get more. Zillow says it's worth more. Those are all what am I going to net? And then the last one is how much is it going to cost me? Your commission's too high. The other agent said they do it for less. Redfin said they do it for less, or whatever, right? I could put it on the MLS, or, will you negotiate on the listing side commission? And what's wild is there's only a handful of those. And when you understand that, I just need a few handlers for each one.
Yeah. I think it's the same thing over here. So let me ask you this, and I'm just going to drill you, but I think that this is going to be one of the best podcasts if somebody's interested in learning about price reductions. Yeah. And what I like to do, because this is what I'm planning on doing. I'm planning on going back, look at all these notes, bro. I'm planning on going back, tying this up, categorizing them, and then coming back to you next week with some more. But here's what I wanted to ask you. I wanted to ask you, okay, what about and this is going to be a document that we give out to all the elite builders. Just
let's go.
Just all right. So looky-loos. Hey, to be honest, everybody that comes in my property, I don't think that they're serious buyers there. And the reason they're not serious buyers, I mean, we've had 10 showings, but if somebody really wanted my property, they would probably make me an offer. So I'm guessing that the people that are coming by aren't serious. Otherwise they would have made us an offer.
Yeah. So time out. So this is good. So notice there's always going to be a same pattern. Acknowledge. Yeah, I understand. And that could very well be true. It could be possible. I acknowledge, I'm not necessarily agreeing, but I'm yeah, okay. And that's a possibility, at the same time, and here's where instead of saying, instead of contradicting you and saying, but, because if I say, but, that negates everything I just said. So if I say to Jose, yeah, that could be true, but that's hey, Jose, I like you, but everything after but is it's you just crossed out all the other stuff before it. So it's yeah, I understand where you're coming from. And I know it can be frustrating to have that number of showings and no offers. and then come to the conclusion that, okay, well, all of them aren't buyers. And, that could be a possibility if they're not bona fide qualified buyers. At the same time, so no but, cut that out of your vocabulary. It took me a long time to get it out because it's like a normal thing that we say.
Yeah.
At the same time, what I'm aware of is we get feedback from all of those showings, and we've been sending it to you. Have you received that?
I have, yeah.
Yeah. And even though I know it's sometimes difficult to kind of read or observe, because I know about me. I mean, my home is mine. and if somebody says something about it, it can cause me to get a little bit defensive. At the same time, I think it's helpful. It's useful data, right? And 3 separate times we heard from buyers them saying, that for the price, they expected it to have different features and amenities. Did you see that feedback?
I did, yeah.
Yeah. And what I'm also aware of is we did some homework and research. Obviously, we're following up with them. 2 of the buyers that have been through the property, they've actually written offers on other homes. So what that tells me is that they saw enough value to look at your home, Jose. They just didn't see enough value to buy. And I certainly wouldn't want to put you in a position as a homeowner where we're helping, the neighbors to sell their homes. And ultimately, my professional experience is that offers from the marketplace is the best feedback, right? Without those offers from the marketplace, it's pretty clear now that we've had 500 views online and 10 showings in person that what we're doing is working. It's driving traffic into the property. And when that happens, there's usually only a few reasons why. So I'd like to review them with you, and then you could decide what, where we go from here. Fair enough?
Fair enough.
So the first reason is maybe I'm not doing my job. Falling asleep at the wheel, Now, why am I saying that out loud?
Because you're taking it.
And I'm just going to, let's talk about it, bro. Get it on the table. Maybe I'm not doing my job. I'm falling asleep at the wheel. I'm just not, marketing your property effectively. And while I'm aware that that is a possibility, at the same time, I know you don't follow me around every day. The good news is we're doing the exact same thing that we've done to help X amount of families in the last 12 months or sell X amount of millions of dollars worth of real estate in the last 12 months. So I know that's not it. It works. And while your home has been on the market, while I know it doesn't mean much because yours wasn't one of them, we actually helped 10 other sellers just like you accomplish their goals and objectives, and we're utilizing the same plan. The second issue is the condition of the property. I mean, you tell me, do you feel like it's not in good condition?
No, it's in great condition.
I agree. And that leaves us with the third reason, which is the price. Now, having had the feedback we did and knowing that 2 of them wrote offers on other properties that were in our price point and in this geographic area, I mean, honestly, what do you think is really stopping us from getting an offer?
Well, I don't think it's the price. And the reason I don't think it's the price, I mean, 3 out of the 10 people gave us that they think that they saw better value in other places, and 2 of them wrote offers. But I don't feel like the people that are coming by are the right buyers. Otherwise, they would have just wrote an offer. If it's price, why won't they just write an offer $50,000 below?
That's a really good question. I know that can be confusing because you're like, hey, just make me a lowball offer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And here's my professional experience. Even though it seems kind of counterintuitive, and we're seeing it show up in the market. So you're like, hey, what's the big deal if I come down, we're asking 700 and I come down to, 675. Who cares? Just make me an offer. Well, what I've experienced is that the difference between 700 and 675 is the difference between getting showings and no offers and actually getting offers on the table. And that's exactly what we're seeing showing up in the market data, where those 2 that they made offers on and went under contract, do you know how much they were asking?
No.
675 or below. So what do you think the buying public is telling us where they see value for homes that are similar to yours?
Damn. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, and I mean this lovingly, Jose. I think you do know. It's uncomfortable. And I get that, right? I want you to know it's equally as uncomfortable for me to have this conversation with you. At the same time, I take the responsibility you've shared with me very seriously, which is to protect the value of your property and help you get as much as possible. And as long as you keep telling me that that's your goal and objective to sell, I'll keep giving you open, honest, direct feedback in order to equip you with what you need so you can make decisions that will allow you to accomplish your goals and objectives. I'm sure you've heard that saying before, Jose, that iron sharpens iron.
Yeah.
When that happens, do you know what happens?
Mm-mm.
Sparks.
Do you feel them too?
Yeah, I feel them a little bit. Yeah. So, again, it's your decision. It's entirely up to you. But what I'd like to do is just to review, again, the reasons why you're looking to make this move and why it's important to you. And then we can go over the options and whatever you decide is okay. And then I'm going to go down that same track. Right?
Yeah. You know, it's funny. I was just headed to the comments section. Just if the seller doesn't want to take on an offer because they think that there's still more money on the table and they believe that summertime is going to.
Yeah. So the way you do that is, hey, there's two things that I don't know with a high degree of certainty. The first is how long it would take to get another offer, because it could take weeks or months. I mean, it's taken us 3 months to get this offer, or however long, 2 months or 30 days. The second thing I don't know with a high degree of confidence is if and when we did receive another offer, if it would be any better. Right? So it's not uncommon, that if you get an offer real quick, it can cause you to be like, hey, this happened too quick. Like, let's see if we could get some more. I share with people, Jose, there's 2 times during our experience you may be upset with me. You know what they are?
No.
Well, the first one is if we sell it too quickly. You know what the second one is, Jose? If it takes too long to sell. So I would propose or suggest that what the marketplace is showing us is all of our kind of strategizing on how to position the property, in a way that that would cause people to see value as far as what our asking prices in combination with our marketing efforts have produced the outcome that we actually wanted from the beginning. And you have a choice to make. And again, it's entirely up to you. One is you wait to see if you can get more. I don't know how long it would take. And I don't know if and when we did get another offer, if it would be any better. And the other concern with that strategy is as time progresses, one of the first questions buyers ask me when they come inside of a property is how many days this has been on the market. Why do you think they ask me that?
Yeah. They basically want to see if there's something wrong with, or how long it's been sitting, if it's been sitting, and if there's other offers, and if they can lowball me.
That's right. So there's a perceived value that's tied to time. And as time goes by, does that perceived value, Jose, stay the same or does it go down?
It probably goes down.
Yeah. And that's what I've seen professionally, that as time progresses, we see offers come in less and less. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Now, at this price, you're going to net X amount from the sale. Will that allow you to make this happen, sort of thing? So I think a lot of you guys are uncomfortable with the polite confrontation. When Jose's saying something that's unreasonable, politely confronting him.
Well, what I also think, bro, is I think that so pricing comes up a lot. So it comes up in presenting offers.
Yep.
It comes up in price reductions.
Mm-hmm.
It comes up in pricing properties at the listing presentation. So there's like pricing is probably one of the largest skills that you can learn. And if you learn the pricing game, like how to present the price, how to ask for price reductions, they all complement each other, but it's probably one of the most important skills that you're going to learn.
Agreed. And I would suggest what's wild is, Jose, is the vast majority of agents, because of kind of the loudest voices in the guidance or coaching community, they spend all of their time practicing everything except
pricing. Yeah. Well, even when I learned about 2 strategies, bro, that was a game changer. Like, hey,
a game changer for you.
That was a game changer for me.
And then saying, hey, whatever you decide is okay. I'm not trying
that right there was a game changer for me.
And what I'm also clear on is it's actually, because people think like setting appointments is the main skill or listening presentation main skill. I mean, they're all important, but like how to navigate price, how to politely confront people.
So important. Bro,
it's the difference between doing 10, 15, 20 deals or doing 100. It really is.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and I think that people are going to enjoy this series. So we're going to continue doing this for the next 3 weeks, if you're okay with that. And then what I like to do after that is go into the presenting offers. And I believe that they're going to be pretty well connected, but it's going to be like another part of the pricing conversation so that we can have tangible things to give to our community of realtors as well.
That's right. Most people teach mindset because they can't teach tactics. What we do here is we teach tactics.
You know what was crazy?
Yeah.
You haven't sold real estate for like 3 years, bro, and you still know verbatim what to say and how to say it.
Hey, here's what it makes me.
That was the crazy part.
Thanks, bro, and I appreciate the acknowledgement. So what makes me feel good is even though I haven't physically sold real estate in 3 years, you're still taking notes.
Yeah, because I think it's one of those things that like sometimes you don't need to practice the price reduction because things are selling so quickly. So you get rusty, bro. If you don't use it, you do lose it,
100%. And I just, to your point, I sold real estate when I grew, like kind of was cutting my teeth, 2008, 9, 10, 11, where I had to get 10 price reductions a month.
I know, that's insane.
Just to move inventory. And prices were dropping so much, 20 to 30% a year. Like this conversation was like everything. And what's wild to think about now, you know how you like agents, and we teach agents to like track KPIs, like, hey, how many appointments did you set? How many, meetings did you have, like Mets, like how many listing agreements did you sign? Well, one of the things I would track was price reductions.
Yeah.
I had to get 10 a month to move inventory. So yeah, dude, that's the intention. Most people teach mindset because they can't teach tactics. We're here to equip you. If you want to do a deeper dive on the tactics, I created a school community. It's absolutely free. We give you free versions of my online courses. You get a role play group that you can plug into. You get access to a calendar that makes it easy to find me and José in different places. I also do a Bible study. If you're interested in that, DM us, reach out. So we appreciate you guys. Let's go be great. Let's go. Let's grow. Elite Builders, coast to coast.
Better, guys. Hey, and then if you guys have objections that you guys want me to cover, send me a message. I'll write them down on my little notes and I'll bring them for next week for Aaron.
Let's go. Talk to you soon.
Peace out, guys. Bye.